I went to church on one Sunday, and they had pamphlets, the little leaflets in there about the Army. So I picked one up, and I thought, well, I'll just write about to them and see what they'll send me, see what it's all about. And instead, they came out and talked to me and talked me into going into service. And that's how I started. And
how old were you?
19 at the time. And so I joined at that time right away and went to Des Moines, Iowa, Fort Des Moines, to take basic training. And we went over there in the back end of a pickup truck. I don't know what you call it, but anyway, all it had was, it was in December. And it just had, well, made me think of an old cabin, anyway, to open, it was open with a tarp over the top of it, and it was colder than heck. And that was the worst ride I ever had in my life, trying to stay warm in that.
How many of you were in there?
Oh, there was about 16, I think, of us in there.
All women?
Yes, it was all women. And so we had our 6 weeks of basic training there, and that was rough.
Tell me about that.
Well, a lot of it was drilling, you know, and being on guard duty at night. In the wintertime, there was big snowbanks and the like, and we had to wear these old overcoats. At that time, we had heavy overcoats and big 4-buckle overshoes to wear, and that was quite a thing.
How long were you in the ranks?
I was in 2 years and 22 days.
And what did you do during those 2 years and 22
and
days?
After basic, was transferred to Camp Edwards, Massachusetts. That was on Cape Cod, between Buzzards Bay and Falmouth. And I worked in the office in headquarters, and we made up the orders for the men going overseas, typed the orders. And then, after about a year of it, well, then I went to the mimeograph machine and made the orders up there. And that was really a case, because the mimeograph machine, the electricity on it, we had to put some Christmas icicles on it. I mean, to try to keep it from the papers flying off. And every now and then they would, and the orders would fly all over the room at starting. So that was quite a job. And so I stayed there then until I got out of service. But it was very interesting. The state of Massachusetts was very good to us. And they gave us big, boats, I guess cruiser boats that we could go out, you know, in the water, and Christmas parties, you know, all kinds of things like that. They were really nice. And I had orders once to go overseas, and Boston was our headquarters, and they called in, and my boss, rather, he was a major in he told him no. He was good, because he had gone to the Army, the Maine College and Army, West Point, yeah. And so they sort of listened to him, and he said no more about people go overseas. So I didn't get to go.
Were you relieved, or
no? I wanted to go because my girlfriend went, and she got to go to a lot of countries. So then after that, I stayed there, you know, until, well, I had gotten married in service, and I had orders I could get out of service when he got back, and so at that time then, why he stayed in service, and I got to travel, going different places with him. We were in Japan and Newfoundland, Canada, and the Korean War started at that time while we were over there. So we got to see a lot of the military life for 20 years after that. And my brother was in the Vietnam War, and I had a brother-in-law that was killed in the Battle of the Bulge in World War II. So we lived a part of the military all that time, a part of it. Then after that, why, just came back to the States and traveled around till he retired, and I settled down. I came here to the Shenandoah because my brother-in-law wanted me to help him with his work, his store. And have stayed here ever since. And we adopted a daughter in Newfoundland. So.
What was the reaction like when at 19 you said you wanted to join the WACs?
What was
the reaction from your family, from your friends at home?
Oh, they were surprised. They didn't know I had been thinking about it, but it was okay because another girl where I worked had gone to the Navy, and so, you know, between the two of us, why, well, they thought it was all right because my dad couldn't go, and I had older sisters, and so I was the first one actually to go into service because my brother was younger than me. So, no, they were all happy about it. I never heard a word of complaint. And beyond that, why, I'm still here in Shenandoah working, not working, volunteering a lot. Keep myself busy.
Did you get close to the men who were and women who were going overseas as
Oh,
they went
yes.
through?
Mm-hmm. They were around. Well, and then it was a bivouac area, and when I got there, there was about 100,000 men waiting, you know, having to do their bivouac duty to go overseas. And then later, it became a hospital, and the men came back, and we had German SS prisoners came in the one ship that came back, and we had them there afterwards. And they never wanted to go back to Europe because they thought they'd have to go to Russia, and they'd try everything to try to escape, and they'd go out on the trains and they'd hide in, if they could get out, they'd hide in the buildings. So it got scary every once in a while, but they were nice. They were our mess hall help, and you couldn't believe that, you know, that they were the enemy from the way they would talk to us. And
Tell
I know
me more about a time when it got scary.
When it got scary?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean when the Germans?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they just reported, because we lived in barracks, you know, there'd be a lot of us in one barracks, and we were scared because they were building new barracks for the women, and they keep going through the street, you know, with their trucks and everything, and we didn't know we had to stay inside waiting, and then finally it was all clear. They found them down in the basement of the barracks.
So
and
the
they
Germans
just didn't
were
want to
hiding
go.
in the basement of your barracks.
They didn't want to go back. They were afraid that they'd have to go to Russia and be their prisoners. And they didn't want any part of that. But we had one group at our chapel that came and sang Christmas Eve Mass. And it was the most beautiful music and singing, I think, that I ever heard. That's always stayed with me, because we couldn't, you know, you just couldn't believe that those men would come over and sing